Choosing the type of presentation that is best adapted to the circumstances of your assignment is a key factor in determining its quality. To have an effective presentation, the medium must be attuned to the context. For example, if you are going to do an oral report, you will probably use a slideshow to accompany your presentation. If you are asked to create a promotional brochure, you will likely use computer-assisted publishing software. Or if the information you are delivering has to capture the attention of a very large audience, creating a web page or video would be more appropriate. That said, you also have to exercise your judgment. For example, if the audience whose attention you have to capture is not comfortable with computers, a web page is not well suited to the situation. You have to aim for a type of presentation that is better adapted to the realities of the target audience. Here are 3 axes that include the principal elements that must be considered to effectively evaluate the context in which you are to present the information. Doing this evaluation will enable you to choose the most suitable type of presentation for your information. Let's start with the mandate axis. In an academic setting, it would be instructions from your teacher. At the beginning of the term, Mary's teacher announces that, in the final class, the students will have to present the results of a research study they will be working on throughout the term. Mary has a lot of questions bouncing around in her head. Exactly what kind of work is expected of her? Is it a written report? A contribution to a wiki? Assembling a portfolio? The teacher adds that the expected form is an oral report accompanied by a slideshow. Okay, thinks Mary, but is it an individual assignment? How long is it supposed to be? And what exactly will be evaluated? The teacher clarifies that it is an assignment for teams of 4 students. The presentation should be about 15 minutes long, and he will hand out an evaluation grid soon. In this example, Mary's questions can be summarized into just one. What are the imposed parameters that I have to work with to do this assignment? Let's continue with the recipient's axis. Any activity involving communication of information implies at minimum a sender and a recipient. In the case of a presentation that you have to do for a course, you are the sender and the recipients are usually your teacher and your classmates. Mary marked in her agenda 3 times when she has to present information to recipients. At midterm, she has to submit an individual assignment to her teacher. At the end of the term, her team has to give an oral report in front of the whole group. Finally, to properly prepare for this final presentation, she has to share her knowledge with the other members of her team. With regard to her individual midterm assignment, Mary might choose a type of presentation that is suitable for complex content, as she will be dealing with an expert. The type of presentation she chooses should also reflect the official nature of a high-quality academic assignment that is intended for just one person. A written presentation documented and supported by relevant charts seems just the right thing. To prepare the end-of-term oral report, Mary will at some point have to present the information from her midterm assignment to her team members. Therefore, she should choose a type of presentation that will allow her to simplify the content for her teammates, but without making it too general, as they will have dealt with similar subjects in their own midterm assignments. The type of presentation chosen should also reflect the informal nature of simply sharing knowledge within a 4-member team. A spontaneous oral presentation supported by excerpts from reference works would be appropriate for this situation. Finally, during the end-of-term oral presentation in front of the group, the slideshow presentation imposed by the teacher's instructions will allow Mary to put the information into lay terms as much as possible, considering that the other teams will have only superficial knowledge of the subject. As for the tone of the presentation, it will be helpful to put it halfway between an official tone and a more informal tone, as this is both an academic assignment evaluated by an expert and a sharing of knowledge amongst some 30 or so peers. In this example, Mary's questions can be summarized as follows. What is the level of expertise of the recipients? And how official a tone should I use when I communicate with them? Of course, a variety of other parameters relating to the recipients can influence the type of presentation you choose, such as the number of recipients, their age, or their fluency in the language. Here too, you have to exercise your judgment. Let's finish with the resources axis. There are certain time, material, and technological constraints that can influence the preparation and the delivery of the presentation. Mary thought she had 2 weeks to prepare her part of the final oral report. But by the time her team finally divided up the work, she only had 1 week. She had planned to take the opportunity to learn to use the online software Prezi so she could animate her presentation. But now, she won't have the time and she will have to be content with a traditional slideshow, a bit less lively, but effective. Mary also wanted, at some point in her presentation, to raise the movable screen and draw additional information over the image projected on the board. But after learning that the room where the presentations would be given did not have a board under the screen, she decided instead to hand out photocopies to the audience and to guide her classmates in drawing on the information themselves. In this way, the material obstacle turned into an occasion to add an interactive dimension to her presentation. Finally, Mary had also planned to enhance her report by showing a short video from YouTube. However, after checking, she was informed that internet access was particularly complicated in the room. In the end, she used free software that allowed her to save the video she wanted on a USB key so she could project it during her presentation. In this example, Mary's questions can be summarized as follows. How much time do I have to prepare my presentation? And what type of equipment do I have access to? The latter question includes the technological dimension. The 3 axes that we have discussed make up the context of the presentation of information. Once this context has been carefully evaluated, you just have to use your judgment again to determine the type of presentation best suited to your project. Your choice might be a slideshow, a video, a blog, a wiki, a website, a portfolio, or a graphic. The next challenge is to select an appropriate tool with which to implement this choice. These tools can be part of your Office suite, as well as downloadable software or applications available online, free of charge or not. It's up to you to explore these possibilities in your own operating system or by doing a keyword search in a web browser. In conclusion, to choose the type of presentation best adapted to the circumstances of your assignment, you have to evaluate 3 aspects of the context in which you will do the work. These are the mandate given to you, the recipients of the presentation, and the resources available to you. At the point where these 3 aspects converge, your judgment comes into play as the choice of the most suitable type of presentation ultimately depends on you. All that's left now is to find the best tool to implement this choice. While what you are communicating is important, don't forget that the way you do it is just as important.